And we're live. It's Sunday night. And welcome back to the Red, White and Blue Football Therapy Session. I'm John. Sorry I missed you last week. Sometimes life gets in the way, doesn't it? But it's good to be back, and it's good to be with Stephen and with Charlie once again for an hour's worth of football chat, banter, and just whatever else we can think of talking about. There you go. Charlie's happy. He's got his James Milner hat on.
He has, yeah. Well, we'll be talking about James today, John. We'll be talking about James because I'll tell you what, I want to know what his lottery numbers is because he needs to put them on. I'll tell you that now for nothing.
I'd agree with you. I think you guys got lucky there. You really did.
No, I'll tell you what, John. Let's just go back to last week. Right? We've got a fuel shortage over here. Well, we've got driver shortage, not a fuel shortage. We've got a fuel shortage because the media decided to say there was going to be one, and there was a media shortage. Yeah, fuel shortage because everyone panic buys. But you were off sorting that out last week. But it was what a week to do it, John, because me and Charlie were probably dreading the show last week, to be honest with you, because he won. So, but again, it's happened again. You know, we both drew this week, haven't we? Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I'm happy. I must admit, I'm happy with a point at United, and possibly still think we could have come away with something a bit more. And that last weekend in particular, I would have really looked forward to just talking to you guys about Liverpool's performance against Brentford. But obviously they followed that up again today and nicked the points at West Ham. So actually Brentford are really showing their class and sort of being a little bit standing out more than probably many of the other teams in the league as well. So
we start here then, John. Brentford and what? Brentford and West Ham, sorry.
Yeah. Why
not? Do you think Brentford's good enough to pull off a Leicester show this year?
I wouldn't say it's as good as that, Charlie, but I must admit that they've started really well, and I'll give them the due because actually people have found it very difficult to play against them, and they went a goal up against West Ham today. Yeah, good value for it. You know, they're up to 7th, 12 points. You know, they're only 4 points off the top spot as well. So, you know, who knows? Who knows?
Well, the thing is, John, as well, that's what Charlie just said there. There was a bit of caveats there with Leicester. Remember, they won it with 74 points. Do you know what I mean? So everyone else was absolutely awful that year. So do we think Brentford could get 74 points this year? Do you know what? I'll tell you now, me and Charlie spoke about this last week. And I think both of us, Charlie, were impressed, weren't we, with Brentford and how well they played against Liverpool.
Yes, very. They earned that last week. I didn't get to see the game today, but against West Ham, they're a good side, and I have a feeling they earned it today too. But I didn't get to see the game, but.
Yeah, I think West Ham. Any West Ham fans watching will probably complain and feel that they were robbed. But actually, West Ham didn't equalise until the 80th minute, and then Brentford snuck an injury time winner. And I just think it's lovely. I think it's just a great thing to be able to see that, you know, there's the opportunity out there for these clubs, and it's. No, it's fantastic. Really enjoyed seeing it, and also just seeing the fact that, you know, we're getting to the stage already this season where teams that are playing in Europa League on a Thursday night are suffering from that sort of hangover effect of a weekend.
Yep.
You know, Leicester today, and also West Ham. I was going to say Spurs, but they're obviously not in the Europa League. They're in the European thing that nobody really gives a monkeys about, but it's there. And but Spurs are another one. We'll come back to them in a bit. But it's a strange one. Some teams don't seem to have hit the ground running, and some already are looking as if they're good enough to stay up.
Yeah. So before you go on, John, Harrison, we'll be talking about the Fantasy Premier League a little bit later, so just keep hold of that thought.
Thanks, Harrison. I've had a good week there.
Yeah. So Brentford, Charlie, I don't know whether you know, again, I was driving up the motorway while the Tottenham game was on, which we'll talk about in a bit. But the Brentford game was going on as well. They've given us updates on that. And West Ham were losing 1-0 for a good chunk of the game. And then they equalised, West Ham. And I thought it was towards the end West Ham had equalised. And I thought, right, that's it, 1-1. But then 93rd minute, Brentford come back and they score another one and get 2-1 up. But before we go on, guys, I know we're going to go into Liverpool in a minute, but see that where I've said spitting is not okay. I don't know whether you've seen the news on Sky Sports. I don't know if you're aware of it, Charlie. Apparently, the Man City staff was spat at by a fan. They've got it on video and they've made a complaint and it's going through. Good. I just want to say, the guy who's done it or girl who's done it, they need kicking off the stage and they don't represent the Liverpool fans. Never have done, never will do. And it's absolute scum what they've done. Sorry, go on. Yeah.
I just think it's one of those things, I think irrespective of how bad things are, either in your home life or in your personal life, you go to football to be entertained. If you're that close to the bench, the last thing you want to be doing, particularly in these times, is spitting at people. So
yeah, it's disgusting.
It's terrible. And to be honest with you, the Liverpool fans, we got upset when a certain player done it to a Celtic team.
Yeah.
That's Juve a few years ago now. We didn't like it then. We don't like it now. Pack it in. It's not good.
Yeah, I did not hear about that. I'm definitely against that type of stuff.
It's something I've just read in the last half an hour, Charlie, to be honest with you. But it's not good. They don't represent the Liverpool fans. In fact, they don't represent football fans, full stop for me. You know, it's not right. But while we're on that, there was a few topics today, wasn't there, in the Liverpool game? Should we get the Liverpool game going? Hi, Sarah, okay? Because before we do that, because I think, John, you'll be happy with the Everton performance. You've got to have been happy with the Everton performance. Yes, I'm sure you're wanting to have a little.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, and I think this is probably it's a nice place to start, really, having missed last week. Last week we played Norwich, which traditionally, I think I'd said it the week before, Norwich are on the longest non-winning streak in the history of Premier League times and such like. So you'd expect them to turn up at Everton and maybe squeak a result, but they didn't. Everton put in a half-decent performance against Norwich. You look at Everton and when they went to Old Trafford, possibly every single Everton team that's gone to Old Trafford since David Moyes was Everton manager, we've just turned over and we haven't performed, we haven't been competitive enough. And what you saw yesterday was a team where Rafa had actually set. You could see exactly what it was. It was playing to a shape. It was playing to. Everyone knew exactly what their role was yesterday afternoon. What United found really frustrating was that we were very difficult to break down because everybody knew what they were meant to be doing. And it sounds as if it's like rocket science, but it isn't. This is actually sort of common sense football. If the players commit to what they've been told to do, then the actual level, the performance level yesterday was superb. And I would pick out the centre midfield pairing of Decore and Allen, who were just bossed that midfield. And again, possibly called into question the team selection from Man United as well.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, John. I was watching yesterday, and Decore was definitely one of the players I was.
Yeah, he's superb.
And to be honest with you, he got me a few points on the Fantasy Premier League. But I'll tell you one player he didn't mention him there, and I was really impressed with him. He played a really pivotal part in the goal, Damari Gray. He caused Man United all kinds of problems down that left-hand side yesterday. And I mean all kinds of problems. I mean, for me, talking about Everton and Man United, it's like me trying to choose between, the fella who's slapping my wife up and the fella who's just punched me in the eye. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just so hard. But you've got to say the performance at Everton yesterday was superb. But that's Rafa Benitez, and this is where it gets easy for me because I love Rafa Benitez.
No, I totally agree.
He gets teams playing in the right way. He's a tactical mastermind. He really is, and I think he done a number on United yesterday. But United didn't help themselves with the selection because leaving Ronaldo on the pitch, off the pitch, is just, it just doesn't make sense. You're 4, 5, 6 games, 7 games into the season, and you're leaving your best player on the bench.
And particularly with like an international break coming up.
Yeah,
it's not exactly as if you've got Champions League this midweek. It's not as if you've got another game to play very soon after. This is a case where go and play your best team because actually you're not resting them for anything else except for the internationals.
Exactly.
I didn't get it. Didn't get that.
Exactly, John. And people keep on going saying he's a 36-year-old fella, right? But hang on a minute. Most players, when they get into the 30s, retire from the international football. They go, no, I'm retired from international football to extend my playing career. He hasn't done that. He's still playing for Portugal, so I don't get it. Just doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't.
Unless it was a total disrespect move for Everton saying, we don't need Ronaldo to beat you. But that'd be pretty bold. But yeah.
To be honest, Charlie, I think there could be something in that, and they thought they could beat us with the team that they started with, and it kind of backfired on them.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure United fans would probably disagree with that, but I think there is an element about the whole fact of the team that actually started. I didn't feel was. Well, I wasn't complaining about it, but I didn't think it was United's sort of finest sort of and most sort of agile sort of attacking threat. That was the bit that got me. It was the fact that they'd set up not to get beat, and yet they still had 72% possession in the game. Yet they didn't start. They didn't start with Pogba. They didn't start with Ronaldo, and they decided to have McTominay and Fred sitting beside each other to protect the back four when Everton haven't got an attacking threat at the moment because of injuries to Richarlison and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. So you had a lad up front for Everton, Rondon, who has played in China for a season and he looks a good 6 months away from being anywhere near fit enough to play in the Premier League. But they were basically playing with 6 at the back, and I couldn't understand that at all. I really couldn't, and to bring Pogba on after 70, Sancho on, I think, was a double sub for Martial and Cristiano Ronaldo for Cavani just before the hour. I don't know. It doesn't seem like United for me. You'd expect United to start with the strongest team, and then if there were 2-3 goals up, then you make changes. Don't do the opposite. Don't try and claw the game back at you.
John, honestly, but because at the start of the season, many pundits and these so-called experts were saying, Liverpool were nowhere near, not going to get near the title. It's going to be United finishing above Liverpool. I don't see it, John. I didn't see it when he was saying.
I can't either.
I don't see it now. I just don't see it. Obviously, we're going to get into the Liverpool City game in a bit, but that game showed 2 heavyweights going at each other. That game. But
I thought United been poor for a few games now, and I think.
Yeah. But the thing is, you've got to look at the manager there, John, because United, you look at that squad. That's not a bad squad of players. That's a good squad of players they've got together there, and they should be playing better than that. Whether they should have been beating Everton at home is a different matter. Because to be honest with you, I was really impressed with Everton. And it hurts to say it because
at the end of the day, I thought we could have come away with 3 points given the performance on the day. But I won't be greedy.
Yeah, do you know what? If it wasn't Yerry Mina, that goal would have stood because he'd have known. If that was Demarai Gray instead of Yerry Mina's a centre half, so he's rushing ahead with the panic with his defender's mindset.
Yeah.
If you got Demarai Gray in there, he's a yard behind. He knows sit back a little bit and behind play.
Yeah,
he's because although the United play was still close, he wasn't close enough to stop that cross going over and bending round him. So he could have been a yard slower and just put that in. That's the win. That's the win.
Yeah, to be honest, I think the ball. Tom Davies actually should have taken the shot himself, and I think a player with a little bit more confidence. Davis is confident at the moment is shot because he's basically been totally out of the team for a long time now. And if truth be known, I don't think he's quite Premier League quality. And he should have taken the shot. He should have had a go. And if he'd have missed, then hey, that's fine. But you never know. He could have scored the winner at Old Trafford, and then it could turn into being like the next sort of prodigy to come through the ranks. But it wasn't to be. He played the ball and he bottled it. And I thought I felt sorry for the lad because I know Farnwell had real high hopes for him in the past, but he's. I think his days at Everton are perhaps a little more numbered than he'd wish them to be.
See, this is it, John. I'm going to go back to the analysis. I think it was Alan Shearer on the Match of the Day last night. They got it and they slowed it down. And the amount of space Dave had when he got the ball was just ridiculous. He could have just put a nice little heavy touch into the 18-yard box towards the keeper, and he's in one-on-one. That's how much space he had. Right, so just let's say hello to Sarah because she come in a while ago. Sorry, Sarah. There you go. Hello, and Stacey's coming. Hi, Stacey.
Hi, guys. Thanks for joining us.
So I thought Everton were good. I thought United were poor in parts. Bad selection, and it started Martial on. He had a header in the first half. If that's Ronaldo, it's in the back of the net. Yeah. Cavani, he had a header in. Good save from Jordan Pickford on the line. But again, if that's someone like Ronaldo getting on the end of that, that's a goal.
Yeah, I'd agree with you.
United have got a good squad. Like I said, got a good squad. But Ronaldo's still the best player. Even at 36, he's the best player in that team.
Yeah.
And
I think we said this a few weeks ago when he signed for him. Is there a possibility there that him being in the team, everyone else is more thinking of let's give the ball to Ronaldo. Let's not do our own thing. It's give the ball to Ronaldo. And I wonder if that's maybe just upset a little bit of the balance within their training and a little bit of the belief that some of them younger lads had. Because you got to think, they've got a decent set of young players. The likes of Martial, particularly the likes of Mason Greenwood. But they're not being given that ability to go and express themselves because it's basically a case of it's going to be the Ronaldo show at some point, And I would also say Bruno Fernandes still is not the player he was last season. I think he's short of it at present as well.
I just read something today too about the people, the players at PSG were saying the same thing about Ronaldo. Basically, their level of play actually declined because they're expecting so much out of Ronaldo that their level actually went down. Instead of like someone like, well, I don't know for sure, but maybe Messi or something like that brings the other people up, But Ronaldo, other people end up relying on him so much, or they want him to give them the ball, or they know he's so good that they tend not to be up. So, maybe that's the problem. Man United.
Well, that's their problem. It's not mine.
Right.
Yeah. Can I just throw in?
You know what? Sorry, John. Before you go on, there was another thing last week. I said to Charlie, I'm gutted John's not on because the week before you said that's 3 weeks now, Stephen, where you've been complimenting Man United, and last week I was actually slating them. So I'm glad I can come on and I can slate them this week and let you know, United they weren't awful, but they made the bad decisions from the managerial point of view, not from the playing point of view. It was clear from a managerial point of view. For me, I'm hashtag Ole in. I know a few Man United fans in there hashtag Ole out, but I think keep him in.
So, and you've got to.
It's not just that United fail; it's that my prediction that Tottenham could get into the top 4 and knock United out of it. But he stays there.
Yeah. I tell you, you talked about managers and things like that. I must admit, this morning my phone came up with an alert, and it was Watford had sacked the manager. I'm just thinking, hang on a minute, who in the right mind is going to do that at this time? this time of the season, why on earth do you go and do that? And like they're 15th in the league, they got 7 points. Yeah, they got beat off. They got beat off Leeds yesterday, but it's not the worst defeat in the world. And I don't get it. I really don't.
This is Watford, John. They don't keep the managers long.
No.
They get rid of them pretty quick. That's why they go for a lot of continental managers. Because they're more accepting of the fact that if you have a couple of bad results, you're out the door. Whereas a British manager would be like, "Whoa, what do you mean a couple of bad results? Can I not go through a bad patch? What are you on about?" And they question it. And I'm like, I don't agree with what Watford are dealing with. 10 months that lad was in charge, wasn't he? Something like that.
Yeah.
He lost 2 games and that was it, gone.
Yeah. I don't get it. I honestly don't. And I feel for him because he'd actually, he's only just started the job. And to be honest, Watford deserve everything that comes their way after doing this because actually, they've been linked today with Claudio Ranieri.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking, someone's having a laugh.
Hey, he could come in and win the league with them because he's the one who won the league with Leicester.
It's not going to happen there, though. It's not going to happen there. So.
The thing is, like you say, the 15th, you know what I mean? They've won 1, they drew 1, then lost 1, and then they got this back. It's like, come on, mate. But I think we spoke about this on the show before, is about managers being given the time, because how can you judge a manager unless he's been through 2 or 3 transfer windows? A manager comes in, he's got to manage this set of players over here. These are not his players, right? So he's got to come in and change the team and get his team looking how it is. Even if you say, like Watford do, and your model is, we don't have a manager, we have a head coach. So you should be training the players and in charge of training the players. Even if you have that, the manager is still in charge of making sure the tactics are right and setting the team right to win the games. But if you haven't got the players he needs to set it up, then that's a bit unfair. 10 months is not long enough.
It isn't, and it's like it just becomes like, I think for Watford, your club becomes kind of faceless in a way because you change the manager so often that you don't actually have a style of play. The players have to change as a result of the manager changing, and you've got to remember this lad actually helped them to get promotion to the Premier League.
Yeah,
so let's not. I don't get it. I honestly, I was flabbergasted when I saw it this morning. And I really don't feel that if you were a Watford fan, this is actually a positive step for your club. I really don't. I don't quite know what the owners want, but it's bizarre to me.
Well, they're only floating just above the relegation zone. And I did think when I heard the news today, is this the Fat Sam Award this week? But obviously not, because he's the goal for Claudio Ranieri. I thought, would Fat Sam take that job? I don't know. A couple of bad results.
He's going to wait for the Arsenal job. Don't worry.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I don't know. Last week, John, they won 3-1. You didn't see it.
I know. Look what happens when I have a week off. Arsenal win.
Although they drew this week. Arsenal.
Yeah, and actually, I thought they were. I don't know. I was going to say they were lucky to get a draw, but that's I'm a bit tainted on that front. But I thought Brighton were actually the better of the 2 teams. I think Brighton would feel quite aggrieved that they didn't win the 3 points, but they're playing Arsenal at home. I think you're down on your luck if you're thinking, oh well, I'm disappointed with a point at home to Arsenal at the best of the time. So yeah, Brighton continue to overachieve. So we've got Brighton and we've got Brentford, 2 teams that are really sort of flying high as we go into the next international break.
6th and 7th.
Is this the time to mention Newcastle again?
Oh, he's gone. He's got to be gone, John. He's got to go. He's got to go. He's got to go.
I just don't get it. I honestly, for Newcastle fans, I know I've said it before, I really feel for you. I feel the passion for the club from the fans is such that it is just like, it's not shown on the pitch. It's not shown from the manager. And Steve Bruce is just, he's basically, he's stealing a living.
I think he's accepted his fate, though, John. Did you see his interview after the game?
Yeah.
I think he's accepted his fate. I mean, the last 2 games before this week's game, they drew. So I was thinking, oh, is he turning the corner? Is he going to get a win now? And he goes and lose again. But that's.
But it's embarrassing, though, Stephen, isn't it? You know, if we were Newcastle fans and he was coming out after the game and saying the stuff that he says, it's just like he said it when he was at Hull and he was rubbish there. He said it when he was at Sunderland and he was rubbish there because he gets found out at clubs. And he just peddles this sort of this diatribe of, oh, the lads put in a lot of effort. We're working on this, and we're doing this, and we're doing this right. Is it, for want of a better word? And I will not swear. I will not swear. I will not spoil. I will not spoil our YouTube. But it's rubbish. It's absolute rubbish. And if the, you know, and I'll put this on a wider footing as well. It's possibly similar to Koeman at Barcelona. Now, both football clubs are in complete turmoil financially, so Barcelona can't afford to sack Koeman. And actually, I don't think that Mike Ashley wants to pay Steve Bruce off, and I think that's the only reason he's been left in there.
It could be financial, John, but at the end of the day, the position in the league is financial as well. You know, he'll be weighing up, you know, how much to pay off, you know, Steve Bruce and getting someone in, but it's a gamble again because he could pay Steve Bruce off and still get relegated.
And who would come in? Who would come in at Newcastle? Who would want that job?
I don't know, because the only player I see at Newcastle who's half decent is Saint Maximin.
Yeah.
I watched the highlights last night, and even though Newcastle reportedly got beat again, he was still the shining light in it. You know, that's what he does. He goes out and he puts everything in. But Steve Bruce is just not the right man. He really isn't. He shouldn't be in the Premier League. He's not good enough.
I think that's what on you go, Charlie.
I was asking, how does he keep on getting manager jobs?
No idea. No idea.
No one else out there?
That's all. Like, he must be a good hypnotist, Charlie. That's all.
Yeah, something. I don't know.
Because I agree with John what he just said. He says the same thing all the time. Wherever he goes, we're working on this, we're doing that. But there's never a result from it. Yeah, I've been working on this. But you've been working on it now, Steve, for like 20 years. What, 999 games was it yesterday? 999 games, because he thought it was 1,000, but his first game at Birmingham, he wasn't officially the manager of Birmingham, so that got chalked off. So his next game's 1,000 games in, and I'm thinking, 1,000 games in, and he's not learning any lessons. It's like, okay, well, why do people keep gambling on him? But at the end of the day, it could come down to Mike Ashley. He could have just been the cheaper option there, John, for him to go for.
Unfortunately, I think that's possibly the case. But I think as well, and I can't find the exact article I was reading yesterday. But what I was describing is the fact that, you know, the teams that they picked up points against so far this season are only the teams, you know, a team in 17th, a team in 18th, I think, and then, you know, they're not doing anything when they're faced with half decent opposition. You know, like Wolves have gone up to 12th as a result of the game yesterday. And if Newcastle had won against them, they would have been both level on points. That's how close it was. But like, Wolves are now level on. Wolves are a point behind Arsenal in the league, and Wolves don't look anywhere near the finished article at all. So you begin to worry about where Steve Bruce is actually taking Newcastle, because actually those, you know, Norwich look as if they're dead and buried already. But we've said that for a while, for a couple of weeks. They just haven't got a clue.
We got the first point yesterday, John.
Yeah, but you don't hear anybody coming up and making accusations about the manager and saying sack the manager there, because actually, I think the board are quite happy with the job he's doing.
Yeah, he is.
Why change it? Because they're enjoying the journey. They're enjoying the fact that they're back in the Premier League again. Yeah, it's frustrating, but they know fine well that there's possibilities with the squad that they've got. At Newcastle, I don't think that's the same. I don't think people can say the same thing.
Definitely not. Norwich would be happier to do what they're doing and keep hold of Farke because he is doing a good job. He went down, he got the back up. Norwich are probably accepting that. They're probably in that little bit of a grey area between the Championship and the Premier League where they're a bit of a yo-yo club. For the next couple of seasons, they'll go down. They're good enough to come straight back up. Got the manager in place to come straight back up. Go up, they're not quite at the level to get out the bottom three. But they go down and get another parachute payments and get another few players in. They could on the next one get through. And they know them. They know they got the right manager, but no one can actually sit there, honestly, put hand on heart and say Steve Bruce is the right man for Newcastle.
No way. No way.
Steve Bruce shouldn't be anywhere near the Premier League for me. He's not good enough. Not good enough. And he brings the quality down as well. At the end of the day, it's the most watched league in the world. You know, it's probably one of the most watched sporting leagues in the world, to be honest. And we've got someone like that in there. It's just not good enough.
But the thing as well, though, and I think this probably wraps it up in a way. But you look at a team like Watford, and they're not happy with their lot, sitting in 15th on 7 points. They got beat against Leeds, so they sacked the manager, and now they're being linked with Claudio Ranieri. And there's Newcastle with Steve Bruce sitting on the second bottom of the league on 3 points. They haven't won a game in all season. They've had 3 draws, and yet there's no long line of Geordie legends lined up to go and take over that job at all, is there? There's nobody knocking on the door to work with Mike Ashley, and certainly nobody being linked with the club either, is there?
No. So he needs to sell the club. That's what needs to happen. Is the club needs to sell?
Yeah, I know.
For the sake of the fans. But anyway, before we start turning this into the Newcastle show, let's talk about Liverpool and Man City today. The big game.
Why not? Hey,
why not? I honestly think, is that the best game of the season so far? And I'm not going to talk about the first 45 minutes yet. I'll let Charlie do that one. But I thought that was a bloody great game that today. I don't know what a neutral might have thought about it, John. Although I don't know whether you can call yourself neutral being an Everton fan, because you'd have been siding with one side and it'd have probably been the sky blue one.
Do you know, honestly, Stephen, I wasn't. And actually, I'll go exactly with what you've said there. I was neutral, but I really enjoyed watching two teams, neither of whom were frightened of getting beat. And I think that was the key bit. It wasn't a case of defending to the nth degree. I think, Charlie, you said it at the very start. It was like basketball. It was like one end to the other end, and it was just thoroughly entertaining. I've got Mo Salah's goal was something. If nobody's seen it yet, go and find Mo Salah's goal. It was just class all over, and it was that. If that doesn't win goal of the season, I don't know what is, because I think he took out. I think the last time I counted, I think it was 5 City defenders were made to look pedestrian just by the quickness of his feet. It was a wonderful goal.
Before we go on to the rest of the game, I know, Charlie, you want to jump in here in a minute, but the Sky Sports broadcast the games over here, and I've never, ever seen this in my whole entire time. Even before Sky took over, we got a joint man of the match, but one player from Liverpool and one player from City.
Yeah.
Mo Salah got it for Liverpool and Phil Foden got it for City, who I was also equally as impressed with, because I thought he was brilliant. But he's just one of them players I think, oh, God, I see him in the starting lineup. I think he's going to score against us, because he always scores against us. He always does something against us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he looked even better because, obviously they put him up against the 35-year-old Millie, There's only so much he can do. He's I love James Milner. I think he's awesome. He puts in so much effort. But when you get a quick young guy against Millie, I'm sorry, you could just see the guy running right past him time after time after time. It's like, come on, give Millie some help. He needed some help there. And you had Hendo, who thought he was a forward tonight, and I think the other guys, first 10 minutes, I think they spent all their energy, and then they spent the rest of the first half just trying to catch up. You can see them breathing so heavy. It's like, come on, people, And I think that was part of Man City's strategy. Pep's out there saying they're gonna come after us. They're gonna press the first 10 minutes. If you can outlast that, we'll have the rest of the half. Pretty much, that's a game plan right there for most of the teams. If you want to put it out there, it's just that's how you play us now. It's just, but yeah, it was a really good game. You had two prize fighters, out there, not afraid to go head to head. They're just like go out there and play, guys.
Yeah.
And both of their managers are in the same. They're both brilliant managers, and they're like letting their players play. I definitely think that we got lucky a few times today. I can understand how, how did Milner not get red carded, and get the second yellow?
Yeah.
He should have. I think he should have. But I guess that ref today, he never gives out red cards, supposedly. That's what they were saying during the broadcast over here anyway. So
yeah.
I was happy to see Gomez, because I think Gomez is quicker than Milner and has a little bit more experience maybe in regards to dealing with younger, faster people that he was against, but they even got one past Gomez too, right? So what are you gonna? It was definitely a great game, and again, it was like my two top teams that I had on the list, like Liverpool and Man City, they drew, and then my two bottoms, like Norwich and Burnley, they drew.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I agree with everything you just said there, Charlie. I can't disagree with anything you just said. I agree with the Milner bit. I thought we were lucky that Milner stayed on the pitch. And I think Jurgen Klopp knew he was lucky that happened, because straight after, boom, you're off, get him on.
I know it.
And, I just think it was one of the best games I think it's the best game I've seen this season. I just wanted to hear John say it because he's a neutral, because I didn't know whether I was being biased or anything, because it was just...
No, Stephen, I'll just add another bit in as well, because I didn't get a chance to mention this last week. I was very fortunate enough to be invited to the Carabao Cup game at Man City as a guest of Wycombe Wanderers, and we had an absolutely amazing night. But we were sat there, and a lad from Wycombe was beside me, and he turned around and he said, "How many Fodens are there on the pitch?" and it was just so telling. Every single time somebody touched the ball, it was Phil Foden, and you don't see it on the telly. It's only when you're actually watching a game of football pan out right in front of you. And as a football player, he was everywhere, and he was doing all the dirty jobs in a way, and setting other people up. But he was like the conductor of the orchestra. It was incredible to see. And if anyone has a chance of going to watch Man City live, just take 10 minutes of the game to just watch Foden. It is quite an incredible thing, and the amount of ground that the lad covers is something else. And you can't coach that level of talent, because he was born with it. I was speaking to, was it Brian Marwood, who's part of the City back team of where they do recruitment and stuff like that. And he was describing when he first turned up there, and he described the fact that it showed this video to the owners, and it had this lad who was, I think, 8 years old, playing in the under-10s, and he was trying to describe what he wanted to introduce with the academy and stuff like that. And at the age of 8, they knew that Foden was going to be something quite special, because he was just like 2 years above his age group. But when you see him in real life, I've never seen a player. I've never watched the game and seen a player of that age and just marvelled at just how good they are and how talented they are and just how much ground that they actually managed to cover. He's something else.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a big fan of his, but I just hate it when he plays us, because he always does.
I think everyone does.
Like Sarah just said there, the first 45 minutes, definitely did pay for the Florida holiday, and probably the next one as well, to be honest with you, because I just wanted to visit that first half. Yeah, it was a great game, but only because of the second half.
Yeah.
Because the first half, City just bossed it. They had us all over. Charlie, you highlighted a couple of things there, but just in addition, I thought our midfield was non-existent. It was like we might as well have just had, the 3 lads up front and then 7 lads in the back 4, because there was no link between the defence and the attack, and it's because of what you said there, Charlie. Henderson wasn't really great. He was always too far forward. Young Curtis Jones, he's not experienced enough to understand that. Right, my teammates are leaving gaps here that they shouldn't, so I'll go and fill it to go and pick it up. Fabinho is always going to do what Fabinho does. He's going to sit back. He's a defensive midfielder. That's where he's going to sit, and that's what he does. So there was never a link towards the attack, and I thought, and he also looked dead lethargic. I just thought, where's the energy? He doesn't look right. One shining light in that, and I know Salah got the man of the match because of what he'd done, that brilliant goal, and he got the assist as well, and he caused all kinds of havoc in the second half. But if I was to analyse the whole game, and I was to say, right, the Liverpool player that done the best and tried the hardest all the way through the 90 minutes, there's only one player I can pick, because there was only one player in the first half in the Liverpool who had the Liverpool shirt on, who was trying to make anything happen or trying to Harris City down, was Andy Robertson.
Yeah.
Because he was just a ball of energy in that first half. It was just in the second half, all his teammates decided to match his energy. That was all. But in the first half, he was doing it, and that was a lot better. I thought he was great.
I think from another side of things as well, and you look at, I think it was Ruben Diaz who'd been, I think was booked quite early on, wasn't he? And ended up having to make sure that he kept himself in on the pitch, really. And then later on, I think Cancelo picked up a daft yellow card, or I don't suppose City do call them daft yellow cards, because he actually is just you bring a player down, you upset the level of play that was going on. Yeah. But I thought Liverpool could have tested out Diaz a little bit more, just because he was on that yellow. And fair play to the lad, he took up the challenge, and some other people would have maybe gone missing, but he didn't. And there was that chance. There was a chance right towards the end, wasn't there, where I thought Liverpool had a chance, just I think with a couple of minutes left, and City's defending was absolutely top notch, and it was just a great game of football.
It was a great game of football against two big teams going for that title this year. But I would say on the balance of the game, the draw is right.
Yeah.
But if you was to say which team was the best overall, I'd say probably City just edged it simply because of the first half, and that's it. Because of the first half, because Liverpool didn't turn up in the first half, and we were lucky, really. This is the thing about grinding the results out. We ground the first half out. We didn't allow City to get that 1-0 up, even though we weren't at our best. And City were just going at us, and they were causing us all kinds of problems. And they also had that game plan, like you said, Charlie, but just let's attack Milner, and it was straight. That's the weak link, guys. Go down there, and it was right. You got Phil Foden, who's one of the most. I don't want to say prospect, because he's not a prospect, because for me he's already a great player. But it's scary to think of where he's going to be in 5-6 years' time. Do you know what I mean? Where that guy's going to be, because he is immense, absolutely immense. And you've got him against Milner, so that was definitely the right thing, and that was our weak link today. That slot, I thought, and he knew that, and that's the gameplay, and he went for it.
It's funny. Sarah's comment says, back to the times of having that noisy football in the house again. Is like, so because Sophie and Stacey were out running, doing some errands while I was watching the game, and they drove into the driveway right after Man City tied it up 2-2, and as soon as they came in the house, they knew something bad happened.
Yeah.
They could hear me from inside the house. I said, what happened? Did they lose? I was like, no, they scored. I was like, oh. That was pretty loud, I guess.
It was a good goal, though. But De Bruyne's goal was a good goal. It wasn't as good as Salah's, but it was a good goal.
Yeah. It was just up and down, I wanted the win. It's like,
that's it. And Sarah's saying, like, the City players were looking tired towards the end. I thought all the players on the pitch looked tired towards the end.
Yeah.
It was just one of them games where they gave everything. But you got to remember, City have done really well this week, I think. They beat Chelsea last week away. They got that defeat against PSG in midweek, but I thought they were probably the better team. And then they've come to Anfield. It's never an easy place, Anfield. And over the last few years, it's like it's probably the stadium that they think that's our biggest rival at the minute for the title.
Yeah.
So they've gone there, and to be honest with you, Carragher got asked who would be the happiest with the points after the match. He said City. I'd agree with him. I think City would be the happiest of the teams coming away with the points because they know that's away from home. They got a point. Liverpool really should be trying all they can to win it, and I think they didn't do everything they can because the first half let them down.
I just pick up on Sarah's point there as well, Stephen, and the players that looked absolutely shot. I was privy to a little bit of information because De Bruyne had played the full game, or nigh on the full game against Wickham, and they knew they had these 3 games coming up. He had to put game time in against Wickham to actually show that he was fit, and then he started against Chelsea last week, and he started again today. And I don't think he's not ready to play 90 minutes as De Bruyne. He's still in that rehab sort of mode, and I think they just felt that. Yeah. I just think they felt that against Chelsea and certainly today against Liverpool, he's such a pivotal part of their team that they couldn't afford for him not to play. But I think there was I think one moment towards the end where he's like he was just giving it large as the fact that it's just he had nothing left to give. He really was shattered. Yeah. So
and I think that's something that even I said to Sarah while I was watching it. He just doesn't look right. His passing's a bit wayward.
Yeah, he's not. I tell you what, that's possibly why Grealish is getting as much game time at the minute at Man City. And once De Bruyne's back and he's really up to full speed, I think you'll find that Grealish will probably take a little bit more of a back seat, which probably Grealish won't like. But I think, you look at how City treat young players and they don't have them playing every week. And I think Grealish has got to learn a lot more about the City way of playing. And seeing him sub today didn't surprise me. I think he needs a little bit of time out just to build his knowledge about how Pep wants him to play.
Yeah. That brings us on to our friend Nick. We haven't talked about our friend Nick in, and there he is. Oh, dear. He win 2-1, and I listened to that game. I didn't watch it. I listened to it.
I listened to it as well.
Yeah. And I thought, first half, Tottenham were on top. It was just seen like a normal run-the-mill game. We go 1-0 up. Second half, Villa come out blasting away, got the goal, but straight away they got the second goal. And again, it's probably a little bit similar to the Liverpool City game where the first half was like one team was better than the other, non-event, and then the second half it was just up and down and battering each other. But Nick, that still doesn't please Nick that you've got the end of your 3 loser wins and you win, and even Sarah said, we've missed this positive attitude.
I've got to admit, I didn't see that coming today. I really expected Villa to put a performance in against Spurs, and I think the lads on doing the commentary on the radio had spotted this really early on. Nuno had sent Spurs out with a plan for the first 20 minutes of let's just shut up shop. Let's try and build a little bit of confidence because it's something Spurs are exceptionally short on, and let's try to get a foothold in the game, and let's try and get the crowd on side. And they managed to do that. And then the next thing that the commentators actually made comment of was that when Spurs scored, which was Højbjerg in 27, one of the things that actually happened from there was that they grew as a team, and suddenly all of that negativity that they've been faced with over the past few weeks, it suddenly disappears, and the players are wanting the ball more often. The little dinks around the corner are coming off rather than them disappearing out of play and stuff like that. And it's just like a team now playing with more confidence. And probably for Spurs, the international break's coming at the wrong time because they could have done with sort of taking that forward from today, and I think Villa fans would be really disappointed that they didn't get anything out of that. And I was disappointed from a fantasy football point of view because I still had Danny Ings, and it's about the first game in about 6 at Spurs ground that he hasn't scored. So there you go. My curse on my fantasy team players continues.
I'll tell you one thing. Since you touched on the fantasy there, right? Just before we go stay with Tottenham, but just while you said that, while it's on in my mind here, I had a difficult decision to make this week. One of my defenders two of my defenders were injured, so I had to go 3 at the back. So I had to decide to go 5 in the middle or to go 3 at the top. And I went, go on, I'll go 5 in the middle, and I put Højbjerg onto the pitch from the bench. Scored. But yeah, I listened. I didn't see the game. I watched it, but from the commentary on 5 Live, it sounded like one hell of a second half. Really did. So it sounded like Villa were going at Tottenham. Tottenham were going at Villa. It was really good. And Nick saying there, unless you play for Spurs, then you disappoint week in, week out. Come on, Nick. Where's your positivity? Yeah. Come on. Spurs are in the top 4 this year. I'm telling you, they're in the top 4. Tell you, they'll come good. They've had a run of bad results. They got a winner today. And to be honest with you, it sounded like they ground it out as well at times, and they got there in the end. Oh, yeah.
I'm just glancing ahead because I'm just aware that we've got a weekend off Premier League football next week, which is never good because I've said it before. I don't like international breaks. It upsets the flow of the season. But when we do return, Spurs are away at Newcastle, which I think, again, will be testament to how much that newfound confidence will take us. And then also Arsenal are at home to Crystal Palace, and Palace did an absolute job and a half on Leicester today. And from 2-0 down, it came back to 2-2. So I'm interested in that one. Everton are at home to West Ham. Brentford are at home to Chelsea. Now that could be
come on, Brentford.
That's another
Brentford. Come on, Brentford.
Don't show now,
And Man United are away at Leicester, Man City at home to Burnley, Norwich at home to Brighton, and Southampton are at home to Leeds. It's the West Midlands derby with Villa and Wolves. And then you guys have got Watford away. So you could end up Liverpool having like a brand new start at Watford, and they'll bring in this sparkling manager of untold,
Claudio Ranieri,
unnamed, this, that, the other. Even if it is Ranieri, I think Ranieri's look ran out a long time ago. You just wonder.
Nick John, Dave, the commentator's going to see the Tottenham Newcastle game when they come back as well. Because Nick says, imagine being a commentator and being dealt that every week. Dave, you're on the Spurs game. Why?
Why?
But you know what, John? Right? Because we're getting towards the end of the show. There wasn't just the Liverpool City top of the table clash this week in the Premier League. There was another top of the table clash going on in the Fantasy Premier League as well.
Oh,
it was Charlie v me. Right,
2 points, right?
Right. For some reason, the league has given you the win, Charlie. But I just want to clear something up. Right, this was the result. Beat you by a point.
No, to my point said I won 51-49.
Oh, right.
Did you refresh it?
I mustn't have refreshed it. Hang on a minute. Oh, wow, mother. I only literally uploaded it.
Gutted.
About half an hour before we went live. I'll have to have a look at that. Did you win that, Charlie? Did you?
Yeah. On my screen, it says 51-49. I was like, whoa, because you were ahead. I was like, oh, man. And then it's 51-49.
We're going to have to. Well, I'll have you on the rematch, Charlie.
I think we'll have there'll be a stewards' inquiry going on over this for the whole of the international break. I was quite pleased. I was playing against.
We'll have to get VAR in, John. We'll have to get VAR in for that one. I think.
John had the high points for this week. He had 61 this week.
Yeah, and I had the lad from Wolves who scored twice on me bench as me third sub. I've got 15 points on me bench unused.
There you go, Charlie. Sarah's confirming it for you. 51-49, Charlie.
Well done, Charlie.
I thought that won that then. Don't never mind. But you smashed it this week, John. You had a good week this week, John.
Yeah. 1 week in 5 or something. Eternal 1 week in 5.
You beat that fella average anyway. That average.
Yeah. Teach him a lesson. Yeah. He's still in second. Average is still in second.
Yeah, that's all right.
Say, Nick, if you want to join the Fantasy Premier League, just so we can get rid of this fella average because he's being a pain in the backside, just join us. Yeah. Just, you got the chat. Give us a chat. I'll give you all the links and that. You can get in. Come and join us. You know, you never know. It might give you some joy in the game outside the top.
I know that was something else to complain about on a Sunday night.
You say next week's the international, so we're not on next week, are we? So we're not doing it next week because we got that. But there is something like we spoke offline off this show. The American football, you know, I've started watching it a little bit, and that's it's got the London games next week at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Actually, one of them. So long as I don't have to pick any Spurs, but you don't have to pick any Spurs players, Nick. Yeah, you know, you can go all Arsenal if you like. It's completely up to you. Join in, Nick. It's good fun. You'll enjoy it. It's good. We're having a good laugh over it. But yeah, you got the American football at Nick's team stadium next week and the week after on the Sundays.
Excellent.
So you got that to look at because I can't. I'm like you, John. I can't watch the international football. It's just not.
No, I'm looking forward to. There's a game on tonight as well. The Bucks are away to the Patriots as well, but it doesn't kick off until 1:20 our time. So I'm recording that and I'm watching it tomorrow night. I'm looking forward to that one. Tom Brady stepping back in to Gillette Stadium, and it could be. It's just he's going to make more records tonight. I can't remember how many.
He's going for it come on Radio 5 Live today that he's going for the most runs or something in NFL history. He's going for that. I'm actually getting that record because I thought it's his old team, isn't it? The Patriots. That's where he used to play.
Yeah.
So I just thought, do you know what? It'd be fitting if he could. Is it at the Charlie? Is it at the?
Yeah, it's at Gillette Field. So
it's about an hour away from here.
Yeah, so that would be really fitting, wouldn't it? You know, he's obviously one of the biggest names in the game. For him to go and get that record, because I think does he own all the other records? It's the only one he doesn't own or something.
I think it probably is now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 65 yards. I think or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
he'll get that easy. He'll get that in the first quarter, probably. Yeah, and he'll get a, you know, the fans love him here, and he'll get the standing O probably or whatever. You know, they'll treat him well.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, I think that wraps it up for this week, doesn't it? I think we've covered everything, haven't we? So thanks for watching, everyone. We're not here next week because obviously
there's no Premier League.
There's no Premier League, and we don't do international football.
No, we don't.
We don't. Do it, so if you like football, go somewhere else. I'd rather grass
go to Moldova. You go to Moldova or Lithuania or something like that.
That's it. Anyway, thanks for joining us. See you
in
2 weeks. Bye.